year video. Today is quite chilly here, so I thought it was the perfect day to tell you everything, how I'm planning on doing my second 12-week year of this year, and actually in general in life. I was really proud when I finished the 12-week year. I really didn't think that I would be able to complete it, and obviously I learned a lot from doing my first one. Definitely seeing that things take time. You have to have patience to let things grow. So when I had my first 12-week year, I, for example, wanted to incorporate more fruits and veggies. We kind of like the hope that that would push out some of the unhealthy habits, and I would say that didn't really happen. Like, I kind of maintained my weight, but like nothing more happened than that. But I have to say, obviously I eat more fruits and vegetables, which is in general a good idea. It just didn't help me with weight loss. So I decided for this 12-week year I want to focus on weight loss, but I do not want anything that's not sustainable, and I want to do it in very small steps. And I would say if you do the 12-week year where you set like 1, 2, 3 goals and then doing like 5 to 7 strategies for every goal of that, it can be very intense. And the thing is, because I want to do now, from my experience from my last weight loss journey, I do just want to do things that are possible and sustainable for me, and also want to give myself time to get used to certain things. I thought more kind of like back into this direction of mini habits, what kind of small things that I can do. And when I was kind of like brainstorming about that, I realized, okay, there are certain things that really prevent me from losing weight, and I was able to find a certain thing, for example, and then think about how could I make it a little bit better, a little bit more healthier, or less unhealthy. Let's take soda as an example. So I started with drinking soda with sugar to going to soda with artificial sweeteners, which are not great either, but I think it's kind of like a small step into the right direction. And then now I'm having like carbonated water and soda in my fridge. And so I thought like, okay, what are other ways of like leveling up? So one thing I thought was, well, I don't usually drink soda if I'm not really thirsty. So maybe I could just practicing to drink more, especially when I come home, because that's at work I'm really good in drinking enough water, but not at home. So maybe I could have like a level up on working on a habit to have water somewhere all the time, so that I'm practicing drinking more, and then I have less craving for soda. And then the next level could be saying, okay, when I want to drink the soda, I still could drink 1 glass of water before that, which will also decrease the wanting for drinking the soda, I guess. And then we could level up again from there and saying, okay, I'm only buying like 1 bottle of soda per week, and kind of like spacing that out. And maybe on one day I could just say, okay, I will just have like 1 glass of something per week, and that maybe with sugar, like a kombucha or something like that. So kind of like getting a healthier version of the thing I'm consuming, but also like spacing it out and drinking less from it in total. And with that in mind, I mapped out all kind of different categories where I see I could level up. And that means like mindful eating, it can be body image, it can be regulating my nervous system, it can be eating chips and pizza, it can be movement or flexibility. And I thought, you know what, I'm gonna focus on doing just this level 1 of all these things, focusing on a few and not a lot of them. Realizing also that some of them are already doing or have learned from the previous 12-week year, and then just focus on them as my strategies for this 12-week year. So I've ended up with like 11 habits. Several of them are habits I have been doing for a long time, so they don't feel like new. And I think that's important to have like a mix of new ones that kind of like take a lot of energy, and then also some that are just really helpful because they're kind of like your keystone habits. If you do them, the whole day will get easier, or it will get easier to reach your goals. So some of these keystone habits are, for example, going on hikes once a week. This is something I love. I do it on a regular basis when the season is right, like now. And that's really easy for me to actually go on hikes. Then I've done the loading or unloading the dishwasher as my minimal habit, which usually makes me do bonus reps, which means I'm doing more than that. And I have started that, I think, in November, and I definitely see it was such a success to have this really simple habit of just unloading or loading the dishwasher every day. And it completely changed how my kitchen looks like on a daily basis, definitely. Another habit that isn't that new anymore is working on eating at the table instead of like here in my reading chair or out on the couch. And it is the idea to learn to be more mindful when I'm eating and recognizing what I'm eating, and kind of also preventing overeating, definitely. So these are kind of my habits that are kind of like a base that I have already experience with and also feel quite confident in doing them. And then I have new habits, for example, journaling every day about body image. My therapist gave me a whole list of body image prompts, and so I'm just gonna do that, I guess. And it doesn't have to be like a long journaling entry of like a page or so. I usually do it in the morning, a few minutes, and it really helps me to start the day with a more positive mindset to my own body. Then I'm practicing eating my breakfast at home, because before I would usually eat it at work, and now I'm really practicing to eat it at home and also eating a bit more. And I definitely see already a change, because I tend to feel less hungry when I'm coming home from work. I still have to practice it because I have to wake up a bit earlier to make my food, and yeah, it doesn't work every day, but so I have, like, for example, a goal of doing it at least 4 times a week. Also a habit that hasn't been new, but it's now like on my habit tracker where I'm really practicing it, is to go to bed at 10 p.m., which isn't easy. I mean, I'm actually a person who is tired very early, but still, kind of like getting myself into bed is not always easy, and it makes such a big difference because I don't drink any coffee. I need to sleep because I'm just a grumpy person. I don't get enough sleep. Then another weekly habit is to try one new recipe per week, which I think is very doable. Maybe not in a week where I'm traveling, but I'm guessing for the most of the weeks I will be able to make something new. And I think it will be really cool to try new recipes. And I have like this small cookbook on Trello that I've made now, and I really want to fill it up with a lot of like tasty looking pictures, because when I'm then going to the grocery store, I can just scroll through Trello and see, oh, this looks good, okay, let's make that, and then I just have to buy the ingredients. That's kind of like my vision, I would say. Then this is probably a strange habit, but because weighing in once a month didn't really work out for me, I tend to go back to daily weighing, and I don't think that's good for my mindset either. So I want to do just once a week. And I definitely see that's gonna be tricky, because I sometimes get like a big urge to weigh myself just to control myself, and actually often to make me feel bad. So I want to actually practicing only weighing myself once a week. And I will definitely do that on the weekend, so I have also time to journal, especially if it's like a weight gain, that I can journal through that and regulate my emotions, because I tend to self-sabotage myself as soon as I have a negative result. I'm like, I'm out of here, and that's just not working. You just have to keep going, and on a rational basis I know that, but I see that I react very strongly to it. I wish I could say we just leave the scale behind, but it's not working so far, so we have to find a middle ground, and I'm just gonna try that now. And when I look through all of these categories, for me personally, I saw the most important one is to learn to stop overeating. 4 years ago, I was really binge eating, and I found this book called Brain Over Binge by Heisann. She had been a binge eater and learned to stop binging by dismissing these urges to binge. She actually had bulimia, and she tried a lot of different therapies and ended up just kind of like seeing it as a bad habit of doing the binges, and decided to learn to dismiss them as neurological junk, and that ended up solving her binge eating disorder, which I think is very inspirational, and it worked for me as well. I think it took me around 4 months, but then I didn't binge anymore. But what kind of like stayed was my overeating, and I would say that the urges for binging or the urges for overeating are very, very similar. So I think actually you should be able to use that book in the same way for overeating. So my plan is to use the Brain Over Binge guide, reading a bit, and every day there I remember there are a lot of like journaling exercises in there. You have a lot of time to learn how urges feel like, what is the voice telling you in your head, what are the costs and benefits of stopping it or continuing it. Yeah, I remember that was a really good book, and in conjunction of that I decided that I want to work on dismissing urges, and now my goal is to dismiss 100 urges. Not sure if I will be able to do all of them in the 12-week period. In the past weeks, I have managed to dismiss around 20 urges, and haven't had an overeat for a few weeks now, which is very impressive for me actually, because I would say I overeat every second week, probably, yeah, 2 or 3 times per month. Yeah, so we'll see how it goes, but I think I really want to practice that. I do feel I'm kind of ready to be able to cope in other ways, but it feels like it's kind of like a habit at this point. In my first 12-week year, I had habits in place to help me regulate my nervous system. One was to do somatic exercise in the morning and with a NeuroFit app, and doing an exercise called legs up the wall. And I have to say the somatic exercise is so small that I don't need to track anymore. I really do it. It has become a habit. Yay! Very proud of that. And I can't say the same for my legs up the wall one. It's still a really tough one. Even though I know it is good for me, I have a lot of resistance. So because of that, I've decided to have cell levels for unwinding from work. And we're now going on the first level, saying, okay, I'm gonna watch one YouTube video. I can kind of like relax watching that, but then we have to do something else. I have to make dinner, or I have to read something, or going out, or going for a walk, whatever. But then I'm practicing to watch one thing and then doing something else. So these are the habits I'm planning on working on. I haven't planned to change them. I really would like to do all of them for the next 12 weeks. Obviously, I know myself, I always love to change things. So I would like to say, okay, every 4 weeks I can look at and maybe tweak some of them. But I really want to commit to doing them at least for 4 weeks, to have time to get the numbers in, as like the gymnastics people always would say, just to kind of like practicing them and also seeing how they start to grow and to kind of like take root, and seeing there is like an effect of it. Like in the 12-week year before, I will have some tools. One is the Erin Condren Goals Planner, which I really love. This is my overview for my action plan for this 12-week year. Then I will have again a journal that I need every day. It's absolutely lovely. I decided on a smaller size so that I can take it with me. It's an A5 Leuchtturm. Not 100% happy with it because I definitely can see that the ink bleeds through. I wish the pages were a bit thicker, but otherwise I really like it, and it definitely will be like a very useful tool for the next weeks. And obviously when you're tracking a lot of like habits, you need a habit tracker. You can use a weekly scorecard if you're into the 12-week year. I think a habit tracker app is the best thing. I really loved my rainbow colored one, but I realized quite at the end of it that it doesn't count the progress of the weekly habits. So I think it's it's not useless, but it's definitely not accurate. So I was really disappointed in that. And I think there are other apps out there that are more flexible. So I decided that I rather want to try the Strides app. What I really like about it is that you can track your action in 4 different ways. You can have a classic habit that you do weekly, daily, or monthly, where you just say, did I load or unload the dishwasher or I didn't? Then you can have averages. You can say, I want to go to bed at least 4 times a week or more than that. And it will kind of like tell you how you're doing. The third one is target. I use it for the urges. I said I wanted to dismiss 100 food urges, and it's really nice to track it in there. While you're doing it, it also shows you where you should be, like if you want to reach your goal by this and that date. And I just really like that they have different options. And then the fourth one is a project, which I have used for my Brain Over Binge guide. I've kind of like made different milestones with the biggest chapters, so I also track my process there. By every time when I've finished one chapter, I can click in there, and it updates my progress bar. I have to admit, it's definitely not as pretty as my habit tracker app. I have to admit, it is not as beautiful as my previous habit tracker app, but I really like that it's so flexible, so we're just gonna give it a try. And today is the first day of my 12-week year. I'm pretty tired, but I managed to do most of the habits, so I'm kind of like happy that I always see that I chosen the right ones, or at least I hope so. Will be interesting when I'm now traveling, seeing how I'm gonna use everything. And like the 12-week year before, I will keep you updated, probably doing like this 1 to 4 week updates. And yeah, I'm really looking forward. We will be I'm doing this 12-week year from the beginning of May until the end of July, and it's gonna be so interesting to see where I am at the end of July. Really excited to see that, and I'm so happy you are joining me again on this journey, and maybe you are inspired to do your own 12-week year. I see you for the next update. Have a good one. Bye bye.